Yo, I just got some information myself, man, because it was strange to me that every month he's going up for a bail hearing. And I know that seems strange to a lot of people.
Live, a judge has denied bail for Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, this was the hip-hop mogul's latest bid for freedom as he remains in federal jail for his racketeering and trafficking case.
Sean Diddy Combs, one of hip-hop's most iconic figures, is now entangled in a legal battle that could redefine his legacy. The music mogul, celebrated for his extravagant lifestyle and groundbreaking career, has been denied bail for the third time. Judge Run Subin's decision underscores the court's firm belief that no amount of money or imposed restrictions could guarantee the safety of the community if Combs were released. In a detailed ruling, the judge painted a bleak picture for the former Bad Boy Records founder, whose career is now overshadowed by mounting allegations and a reputation under siege.
So yesterday, Monday, Diddy celebrated his 55th birthday, but this year was a lot different. It was no Diddy parties. It was none of that. None of that stuff. Well, happily so, I guess, right now. But anyway, so this is his first birthday behind bars.
Let's be honest. This case is shaping up to be one of the most intense legal battles in recent memory. The stakes go beyond Sean Diddy Combs' freedom. They threaten the very foundation of his empire. His latest attempt at securing bail wasn't just a routine request. It was a high-stakes gamble involving a staggering $50 million bail package. That's right, $50 million. The defense argued that this unprecedented offer, combined with strict conditions such as 24/7 private security and a complete ban on internet and phone access, should have been sufficient to address any concerns about Combs posing a danger to society or being a flight risk. But the court wasn't convinced. Judge Subin delivered a firm and detailed explanation, leaving no room for doubt about the decision.
No, I'm not surprised by the ruling because, as she cited in her order, there are very serious allegations about the danger that he potentially poses to other witnesses and the public at large. There are allegations that he has, been violent with others. He's also attempted to allegedly intimidate other witnesses and still contact witnesses while incarcerated.
The judge's decision hinged on four critical factors: the severity of the charges, the strength of the evidence against Combs, his personal history, and whether his release would endanger the community. Unfortunately for Diddy, none of these worked in his favor. The charges themselves are staggering: racketeering, coercion, and allegedly orchestrating a systematic pattern of harm over several years. Prosecutors claim Combs leveraged his immense wealth, influence, and connections to create an environment where his desires were met without accountability. But this case isn't just about the allegations. It's about the mounting evidence supporting them.
We're monitoring another push to free Sean Diddy Combs tonight, with his legal team citing new evidence in an updated bail proposal. The music mogul agreeing to around-the-clock security and cutting out contact with basically anyone but his legal team to get out of jail ahead of his trial scheduled for May of next year for charges he allegedly coerced and abused women for.
One of the most damning pieces of evidence presented by prosecutors and prominently cited in the judge's ruling is a video from 2016. This now infamous footage captures Combs in a Los Angeles hotel hallway, exhibiting behavior that prosecutors describe as both violent and controlling. In the video, Combs, wearing nothing but a towel, is seen confronting his then-partner, Cassandra Ventura, known to the world as Cassie. The footage reportedly shows him dragging her to the ground, kicking her, and forcibly pulling her back toward their hotel room. Prosecutors argue that this shocking incident is not an isolated case, but part of a much larger pattern of aggression and control that defines Combs' troubling behavior over the years.
Is everybody familiar with the old Houdini? So what Diddy's lawyers are trying to do is pull a Houdini. They're trying to say that the evidence that they have is different. Well, it's not different. The video that the entire world has seen is not going to go away. The fact that he had parties that were freak-offs is not going away. So it's just a question of whether or not.
Adding to the weight of the evidence are text messages exchanged between Combs and Cassie following the 2016 incident. These messages, entered into the court record, reveal a chilling narrative. In one text, Cassie reportedly describes the visible injuries she sustained, stating, "I have a black eye and a swollen lip." "You're sick for thinking this is okay." Another message references lingering bruises, with Cassie saying, "I still have crazy bruising." When paired with the video evidence, these communications paint a damning picture that even Diddy's most loyal supporters may find hard to ignore. But the 2016 incident is far from the only factor weighing against Combs. This case also includes serious allegations of obstruction. Prosecutors claim Combs has taken extraordinary measures to manipulate witnesses and control the public narrative surrounding his legal troubles. While in custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center, Combs allegedly violated detention rules in ways that have raised significant concerns. Reports indicate he used other inmates' phone access codes to make unauthorized calls and utilized a private messaging service to communicate with individuals outside the facility, bypassing standard monitoring protocols. Even more troubling, prosecutors allege that some of these communications were attempts to influence witnesses or even potential jurors.
That's it. If it is privilege, of course they won't. But if it really is what the prosecution says, that has nothing to do with the case, or even worse, it's actually evidence of witness tampering, because we all know the attorney-client privilege, there's a crime fraud exception. You can't use your lawyer to perpetuate a future or continuing fraud or crime. So if the documents are what the government says they are, they're going to get them again. And again, it's just going to be a matter of days.
One of the more unusual twists in this case involves a social media campaign tied to Combs' recent birthday. Prosecutors argue that this campaign, reportedly orchestrated with the help of his family, was designed to sway public opinion and, by extension, potential jurors. The campaign included a video featuring Combs' children celebrating his birthday, expressing their love for him while he listened in over the phone from jail. On the surface, it might appear to be an innocent family moment. However, prosecutors have highlighted alleged statements from Combs that suggest otherwise. During a recorded phone call, Combs reportedly made a telling remark, "I just need one," implying that his goal was to influence at least one juror through the public display of support. Prosecutors contend that this was not merely a heartfelt gesture, but a calculated effort to manipulate the narrative and gain an advantage in the courtroom.
So that, they probably didn't see these notes, and they never will.
But if you're Diddy, don't you want your notes back?
Yeah.
If you've spent so many hours gathering evidence for your side or, strategy or whatever, for me, I'd be oh no, please don't destroy, please return.
Then there's the matter of Combs' alleged communications with a key witness in the case. This individual, said to be involved in several of the incidents under investigation, reportedly received multiple calls and messages from Combs, even after testifying before a grand jury. The judge noted that while Combs' legal team has provided explanations for some of these interactions, others remain unexplained. The fact that some of these messages were deleted has only fueled suspicions. All of this led Judge Subin to conclude that there's a significant risk of witness tampering, an assessment that played a crucial role in the decision to deny bail. The defense, of course, has vehemently contested these allegations. Combs' legal team, led by attorneys Mark Agnifilo and Alexander Shapiro, argues that many of the claims against their client are either exaggerated or outright false. They also point to Combs' willingness to accept extraordinarily restrictive conditions for his release as evidence that he can be trusted to comply with court orders. According to the defense, Combs would have been confined to a 3-bedroom apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, with private security guards monitoring his every move. He would have had no access to a phone or the internet, and his interactions with the outside world would have been strictly limited to his legal team and select family members.
If they did in fact occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, of engaging and voluntarily engaging in the sexual conduct and being in those spaces, consuming and things of that nature.
As compelling as the defense's arguments might seem, Judge Subin was not convinced. One of the key points of contention was the proposed use of private security to monitor Combs. Prosecutors argued that such an arrangement would essentially amount to Combs paying for his own private jail. They claimed this would create a 2-tier justice system where the wealthy could buy their way out of detention. The judge appeared to share these concerns, noting that the proposed security team would ultimately answer to Combs. not the court. This raised doubts about whether such an arrangement could genuinely guarantee compliance with the conditions of release.
Like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so it's, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping.
The defense's handling of a separate controversy involving notes seized from Combs' jail cell added another layer of complexity to the case. These notes, photographed during a routine sweep for contraband, reportedly contained troubling statements, including alleged instructions to gather information about 2 individuals connected to the case. The defense argued that the notes were protected by attorney-client privilege and should never have been reviewed by prosecutors. However, the judge pointed out inconsistencies in the defense's claims regarding the notes, particularly whether they were clearly marked as privileged at the time of the sweep. This discrepancy, combined with other factors, seemed to further erode the court's trust in Combs and his legal team.
Witnesses.
So I think the most important thing, even more important than the passport, is that Mr. Combs came to New York on September 5th. As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York. I called the prosecutors myself. I said, Mr. Combs is in New York. Do you want to know where he is?
Another point of comparison raised during the hearing was the case of Mike Jeff, a former executive facing similar allegations of misconduct. Jeff, who is in his 80s, was recently granted bail under conditions that included a $10 million bond. The defense argued that if Jeff could be released, so too should Combs. However, prosecutors countered that the 2 cases are fundamentally different. Unlike Combs, Jeff is not accused of orchestrating a violent criminal enterprise or engaging in obstruction. Additionally, his advanced age was cited as a mitigating factor, making him less of a flight risk. The judge ultimately agreed with this distinction, further reinforcing the decision to keep Combs in custody.
So my defense is very well established. I interviewed myself the different men who were being brought sort of into Mr. Combs and this person's intimate situation. I've flown around the country. I've interviewed a large number of them. There's not the slightest inkling, according to the interviews that I've done, of anything that's coercive, non-consensual.
With bail denied, Combs now faces the daunting prospect of preparing for his trial from behind bars. His legal team has indicated they may appeal the decision, but even if they do, the odds of success appear slim. Meanwhile, the allegations against him continue to mount, with new lawsuits and claims emerging almost weekly. This latest setback is just one chapter in a story that shows no signs of slowing down. For now, the man once hailed as the king of the music industry is left to grapple with the harsh reality of his situation: a cramped cell, a mountain of legal troubles, and a legacy hanging in the balance. Let's not sugarcoat it. The saga surrounding Sean Diddy Combs grows messier by the minute. If you thought the denial of his bail was the only headline grabber, buckle up. We're diving into the scandal involving his infamous jailhouse notes. Yes, notes, pages upon pages of handwritten instructions, scribbles, and reminders, seized from his cell during what was described as a routine sweep. But as the details unfold, it's clear that there was nothing routine about the contents of those pages, nor the fallout that followed.
Sean Diddy Combs was denied bail for the 3rd time, a federal judge saying that the government had proven by clear and convincing evidence that there were no conditions of release that would ensure the safety of the community.
So here's the deal. During a search of Combs' cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center, authorities reportedly uncovered a stack of personal notes. At first glance, this might not sound like a big deal. After all, who doesn't jot things down to stay organized, right? But according to prosecutors, these weren't your average to-do lists, no grocery lists or reminders to call mom. Instead, these notes allegedly contained instructions that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Among the most eyebrow-raising claims, Combs had reportedly written about digging up dirt on his accusers. Yes, you heard that right, dirt on the very people accusing him of wrongdoing. And it doesn't stop there. Prosecutors claim one entry even instructed a family member to gather information on specific individuals linked to the case. Another note reportedly mentioned paying off witnesses. Of course, Combs' legal team has fiercely denied these allegations, calling them baseless and a gross misinterpretation of his private thoughts. But let's be real. In a case already brimming with accusations of manipulation and power plays, this discovery only adds fuel to the fire.
The defense denying these claims and is pushing for his release under strict conditions, including a $50 million bond and 24/7 monitoring at a secured Manhattan apartment. There will be a hearing today where both sides will have a chance to clarify exactly how Combs has been connecting with the world outside his jail cell.
Now, you'd think the notes would be a slam dunk for the prosecutors, right? Evidence of tampering and intimidation, written in Diddy's own handwriting, case closed. But not so fast. His defense team has come out swinging, arguing that these notes were protected by attorney-client privilege and should never have been seized in the first place. They've accused the Bureau of Prisons and the prosecution of overstepping their bounds, calling the seizure a blatant violation of Diddy's constitutional rights. And here's where it gets even juicier. At an emergency hearing, Diddy's lawyers demanded to know how the search was conducted, why the notes were photographed, and whether this was all part of a targeted effort to undermine their client's case.
So there's a few things going on. First is the privilege issue. The judge will decide whether the documents are privileged or not. If they're not, they're going to go to the government. If the documents are not only not privileged, but they're evidence of witness tampering, then a few things can happen, all of which are bad for Sean Diddy Combs. First, of course, he could face obstruction of justice charges in a superseding indictment.
The judge, clearly reluctant to take sides prematurely, ruled that prosecutors must destroy any copies of the notes they had in their possession. But, and this is a big but, the originals would remain under court supervision while both sides argue over their admissibility. What does that mean in plain terms? For now, those notes are in legal limbo, neither fully off the table nor entirely in play. But make no mistake, their mere existence has already cast a long shadow over the proceedings. Let's pause for a second and think about the optics here. If you're a juror or even just a casual observer, how does it look when someone accused of such serious allegations is found making notes that allegedly include instructions to dig up dirt on their accusers? It doesn't exactly scream innocence, does it? And while Diddy's team insists these notes have been wildly taken out of context, the damage to his public image is undeniable. It's one thing to be accused of wrongdoing. It's another to be portrayed as someone actively trying to manipulate the system from behind bars.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
And speaking of manipulation, this isn't the first time Diddy's actions from jail have raised eyebrows. Remember that birthday video we mentioned earlier? The one where his family gathered to celebrate him while he listened in over the phone? Well, prosecutors claim there was nothing innocent about that family moment. Instead, they argue it was part of a carefully orchestrated campaign to influence public opinion and, by extension, potential jurors. According to their filings, Diddy monitored the video's engagement metrics and even discussed strategies to maximize its impact. "I just need one," he reportedly said, referring to the possibility of swaying a single juror to his side. If true, it's a bold, and some might say risky, move for someone already under such intense scrutiny. But let's not forget the players behind the scenes. Diddy's legal team has been working overtime to counter these narratives, painting him as a victim of overreach and media sensationalism. They argue that his actions have been mischaracterized and that, as a high-profile figure, he's simply trying to defend himself in the court of public opinion. And honestly, can you blame them? With so much riding on this case, not just his freedom, but his legacy, his empire, and his family's future, they've certainly got their work cut out for them.
Not buying it all, Kana. And safety can mean a couple different things. Safety just doesn't mean free from harm of violence. Safety can also, too, means emotional and mental dynamics that could occur by Sean Combs reaching out to potential witness to get them to possibly change.
Yet, even as his lawyers fight to control the narrative, new allegations continue to surface. One of the most explosive claims involves Diddy's alleged use of his wealth and influence to silence those who could testify against him. Prosecutors have pointed to instances where they say payments were made to individuals connected to the case, raising questions about whether these transactions were intended to buy loyalty or silence. Diddy's team, of course, denies this, insisting that any financial dealings were above board and entirely unrelated to the allegations at hand. But in the court of public opinion, where optics often matter more than facts, the damage may already be done. Then there's the question of accomplices. Because let's face it, if even half of what's alleged is true, there's no way Diddy could have operated alone. Prosecutors have hinted at the involvement of a network of enablers, people who allegedly helped facilitate the very acts he's accused of. From assistants and bodyguards to high-profile friends who turned a blind eye, the web of complicity, if proven, could be sprawling. And that raises an uncomfortable question. How many people knew about what was allegedly happening, and why didn't they step in?
When people got a lot of money and they got lawyers that could come up with different reasons and different information and present it to the courts, that they are able to get how many bail hearings, as long as you got different information to present to the court, different evidence.
This brings us to the broader scandal surrounding Diddy's infamous gatherings, events that have been the subject of whispers and rumors for years. Known for their over-the-top extravagance and exclusive guest lists, these parties attracted some of the biggest names in entertainment, politics, and business. But as the allegations mount, those once glamorous affairs are being recast in a far darker light. Reports suggest that some attendees may have witnessed troubling behavior but chose to stay silent, either out of loyalty, fear, or self-preservation. And now, according to the lawyer representing over 100 alleged victims, these bystanders could face legal consequences of their own. Tony Busby, the attorney leading the charge, has made it clear that he's not just going after Diddy, but everyone who played a role in enabling or covering up his alleged actions. In interviews, Busby has argued that silence in the face of wrongdoing is its own form of complicity. If you were there, he says, and you knew what was happening, you're just as responsible. It's a bold statement, one that sends a clear message to anyone who thought they could distance themselves from the scandal simply by staying quiet.
Diddy is a multi-millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire. If he wins this case against them, look at all the business that he lost. Look what they made him look like in the public eye. He could bankrupt. he could bankrupt the government.
And let's not forget the celebrities who've been linked to Diddy over the years. Names like Jay-Z, Jennifer Lopez, and Usher have all been mentioned in connection to his legendary parties. While there's no evidence to suggest they were involved in, or even aware of any wrongdoing, the mere association has left some scrambling to protect their reputations. Reports suggest that several high-profile figures have been quietly working to scrub their social media accounts, deleting photos and posts that could tie them to Diddy. It's a fascinating and somewhat ironic twist, given that many of these same celebrities once basked in the glow of his influence. But even as some distance themselves, others have come forward to share their experiences. One attendee, a woman invited to one of Diddy's events by a well-known figure, recently described what she saw as unsettling. According to her account, the atmosphere was chaotic, with people engaging in behavior she described as out of control. While she stopped short of making specific allegations, her testimony adds to the growing chorus of voices painting a less than flattering picture of these gatherings.
They know they already won their case. He's gonna have to plead guilty to something. Maybe the guns. It may be the trafficking. It may be some stuff they found in the tax evasion. It may be charges that we don't even know about, but he's gonna have to plead guilty to something which get them off the hook.
So, where does this leave us? For now, Diddy remains behind bars, his once glamorous world reduced to the confines of a detention facility. His legal team is preparing for what promises to be a long and contentious battle, while prosecutors continue to build their case. As more details emerge, it's clear that this story is far from over. The stakes couldn't be higher, not just for Diddy, but for everyone connected to him. In a case like this, the ripple effects are bound to spread far and wide, touching lives and careers in ways we can't yet predict. And here's the kicker. With the trial still months away, there's plenty of time for new revelations to come to light. Will more accusers step forward? Will former allies turn against him? And what about those notes? Will they ultimately be admitted as evidence? Or will the defense succeed in keeping them out? One thing's for sure, this case has already changed the way the world sees Sean Diddy Combs. The question now is, how much more is there to uncover? Stick around, because this story is only just beginning.
So, what do you think?
Is Diddy being unfairly targeted, or is there more to these allegations than meets the eye? And how far do you think his influence and wealth will take him in this legal battle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.